In today's lecture, we are going to start last chapter in the hormone and hormone antagonist unit. So corticosteroids. Corticosteroids. In this chapter, we have to study what is meant by corticosteroids, their definition, classification, glucocorticoids, mineralocorticoids. These are the two classes of these corticosteroids, in which firstly glucocorticoids we have to study in detail what is meant by glucocorticoid, then their pharmacological action, mechanism of action, after that their pharmacokinetics, uses, therapeutic applications, side effect, adverse effect, and contraindication, and their preparation. So let's start from the definition of corticosteroids. So corticosteroids, they are the, before the starting of corticosteroid, you have to know about what is structure of kidneys, how it is, where it is located, then adrenaline gland, location of adrenaline gland, then parts of this adrenal gland, which zones are present, inner part, outer parts. So you have to idea about this adrenal gland. So where adrenal gland is located?
Upper side of kidney.
Okay, so kidney, it is located below the ribs cage, one on the each side, and they are in the bean shaped, and above which, that is at the upper side of the kidney, adrenal gland is to be located. And adrenal gland having the outer part is known as adrenal cortex, while the inner part is known as adrenal medulla. Then this adrenal cortex, again inner part, middle part, and outer part, these different zones, they having the particular terms. So we will discuss these terms into the glucocorticoids. So corticosteroids are the adrenocortical hormones. Why they are known as adrenocortical hormones? Because they are produced into the adrenal cortex, or they are secretion of the adrenal gland. That's why they are known as adrenocorticosteroids or adrenocortical hormones, ACTH hormones. Then the secretions of the adrenocortical steroids, they are controlled by pituitary release of corticotrophin, that is ACTH, that is adrenocorticotropic hormones. The secretion of these corticosteroids, the secretion is controlled by an pituitary release, that is it is controlled by pituitary gland release secretion, that is corticotrophin. Then these corticosteroids, they are classified into two types, in which first one is glucocorticoid and second one is mineralocorticoid. This corticosteroid, they are the group of steroid hormones. Steroid hormones, they are produced into the adrenal cortex, or sometimes these corticosteroids, they are made by synthetically or prepared by synthetically. Either they are produced or stored into the adrenal cortex, or they are made synthetically. So what is mean by steroid hormones? Here question is that steroid hormone, glucocorticosteroid, it is a steroid hormone. So what is mean by steroid hormone? What is difference in between steroid and non-steroid? Any idea?
Steroid hormone synthesis in our body.
And non-steroidal?
They are synthetically prepared.
Okay, so the steroid hormone, it is a group of any group of hormone, and that belong to the class of chemical compound. They are known as steroids, and these steroids, they are secreted. Steroid form मध्ये असलेले हार्मोन कोणते आहेत बॉडी मध्ये? Steroid hormone, they are synthesized in our body, right? So they are secreted by the three steroid glands. First one is adrenal cortex. So this adrenal cortex secrete and two hormones. They are named as mineralocorticoid, corticosteroid, or mineralocorticoid and glucocorticoid. Then second one gland is ovaries. Ovaries secrete which secretion? Which hormones? We discussed in female sex hormone. Which hormones? Name of these hormones?
Estrogen and progesterone.
estrogen and progesterone, and third gland is testes, which secreted androgen or testosterone. So these are the three steroidal glands which is present in the human being or human body, and they act as a steroidal hormone. So all these steroidal hormone means this testosterone, androgen, estrogen, progesterone, glucocorticoid, mineralocorticoid. This hormone synthesized in our body with the help of or derived from the cholesterol. So with the help of cholesterol, these hormones are synthesized in our body. Then this corticosteroid, they are helpful. So what is application or which role is play into our body? So these corticosteroid drugs or this agent, they use to treat the rheumatoid arthritis, inflammatory bowel diseases, allergies, asthma, and many other conditions. So asthma, there is difficulty in the breathing. Such type of the condition is treated by corticosteroids agent. Then rheumatoid arthritis, we discuss in the anti-rheumatic agent. So what is mean by rheumatoid arthritis and what is mean by anti-rheumatic agent? Corticosteroids used to treat the rheumatoid arthritis. What is mean by rheumatoid arthritis? What happened in this disorder? Am I audible to all?
Yes, ma'am.
Anti-rheumatic agent. This chapter we discuss in second unit, I think. What happened in rheumatism disorder?
inflammatory disorder है.
It is autoimmuno-inflammatory disorder which is occurred due to deposition of any fluid in between the joint. Is known as rheumatoid arthritis, and the agent used to treat this rheumatoid arthritis is known as anti-rheumatic agent. So treat the rheumatoid arthritis, certain type of the allergies. Allergies are nothing but the hypersensitive reactions to any substance. Asthma, any allergic substance, asthma, and many other conditions. So in such a condition, these corticosteroids are used. So these corticosteroids are classified into two classes in which glucocorticoids. Glucocorticoids are the powerful hormones or the powerful medicines. They fight against the inflammation and they work for the immune system. So work or function of the immune system is to to act against the any infection. They fight against the bacteria or any other inflammation. So these glucocorticoids are the powerful medicines or the hormone. They act towards the immune system. Which cell is responsible for the immune system? RBC, WBC, platelet. Which cell perform the function?
WBCs.
WBC.
They act as a phagocytosis or they having the functions against the any allergic condition and they helpful for the immune system response. So as discussed in the structure, they having the inner part, outer part, and that is inner zone, outer zone, and middle zone. So in which zona glomerulosa, माहिती आहे तुम्हाला हे झोन्स, adrenal cortex, adrenal medulla structure. Any idea about this? माहिती आहेत की नाहीत? Yes or no? We studied but don't remember, didn't remember. Okay, revise. Let's revise again. Adrenal cortex, adrenal medulla having the outer part is known as adrenal cortex. So this adrenal cortex, again, it is having the three parts or the three zones. So first one is that is middle part, inner part, and the outer part. So the middle part of this adrenal cortex is known as zona fasciculata. Then inner zone. Z it means by zona. Then inner zone of the adrenal cortex is known as zona reticularis. And last one, middle and inner zale. And last one, it is an outer zone of this cortex, adrenal cortex. So outer zone hai, it is known as zona glomerulosa. Write down in your notebook. Adrenal cortex having the three part: inner zone, outer zone, and middle zone. So outer zone, it is known as zona glomerulosa. Then inner zone, it is known as zona reticularis, and middle zone, it is known as zona fasciculata. Then adrenal gland having the inner part is known as medulla, adrenal medulla. So in which epinephrine, that is adrenaline, is to be secreted. So where adrenal, both adrenal cortex in having the middle layer and inner layer, inner zone and middle zone, that is last two, zona fasciculata and zona reticularis. They both helpful for secretion of glucocorticosteroid or glucocorticoids, and the outer zone, which is responsible for secretion of mineralocorticoid and also adrenal medulla, it is also responsible for secretion of mineral corticosteroids. Then it is cheap glucocorticoid, it is any cheap glucosteroid secretion. Cheap means it is in the low cost. Then it is secreted in the form of hydrocortisone. Hydrocortisone, it is an steroidal hormone. It is secreted by or produced by adrenal cortex, and it is used to treat the rheumatism or eczema. Eczema माहिती है? Eczema, it is disorder of skin. There is sometimes swelling of the skin is to be occur or inflammation to the skin is to be occur. Dermatitis. What is meant by dermatitis? Sound is audible to all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Dermis माहिती नाही. Dermis means काय dermis? Dermis,
Irritation of
epidermis,
skin.
काय आहे?
Irritation of skin.
स्किनचं लेअर आहे डर्मिस.
Layer of skin.
मग त्या dermatitis, it means there is inflammation. So inflammation to the skin is known as dermatitis. If you know dermis and epidermis, they are the layer of skin, then it is easy to understand what is meant by dermatitis. So dermatitis, it is an infection or inflammation to the skin or swelling of the skin. That is another term is eczema, E-Z-E-M-A, eczema. Write down all these points in form of running notes in your notebook. Then next point is aldosterone, mineralocorticoid. So mineralocorticoid, they are released from which layer? Which zone of adrenal cortex?
आउटर झोन.
Outer zone.
What is the
Outer
name
zone.
of this zone?
झोन ग्लोमेरुलसा.
Zona glomerulosa. So where it is secreted, and also adrenal cortex, and also it is secreted from the adrenal medulla. So aldosterone, it is released from the zona glomerulosa, from the outer zone of adrenal cortex. It is known as mineralocorticoids. Mineralocorticoids definition is that aldosterone, it is an hormone which is released from the zona glomerulosa, that is outer zone of adrenal cortex, and this secretion is known as mineralocorticoids. The next point is pharmacological actions of glucocorticosteroids. Screen is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, whenever a question is asked on this point, write in detail about glucocorticosteroids. Then you have to write from the definition or where it is located or where it is secreted. From this point up to pharmacological action. From pharmacological action, uses, contraindication, therapeutic application. So it is important one question from the corticosteroid, write in detail or write pharmacology of glucocorticosteroids. So as we discussed in previous point, it is released from middle and inner zone of adrenal cortex and it is secretion of adrenal cortex. It is helpful in conditions or it is used to treat the conditions such as rheumatoid arthritis, inflammatory bowel diseases, allergies and asthma. The next point is pharmacological actions of glucocorticosteroids or glucocorticoids, in which first one action is action on the fat metabolism. So fat metabolism, if there is excessive fat is deposited over the face, shoulder, that's why person shows specific characteristic moon face, fish mouth, that is narrow mouth, obesity and buffalo hip. These characteristic symptoms are observed. Action on the fat metabolism, म्हणजे fat जर increase झाली, if there is excessive fat is to be deposited, then which symptoms are observed, which characteristics are observed? Moon face, fish mouth, and obesity and buffalo hip. Means such type of the buffalo hip, fish mouth. Fish mouth means narrow mouth. Moon face means excessive fat. If there is excessive fat is to be deposited on the face. The face ची जी size आहे ती increase होते. That is moon face. Fish mouth means narrow mouth होतं. It happens when there is excessive fat is deposited over the face. So this glucocorticoid act against this condition and they break down the fat. The fat जी deposit झालेली आहे त्या फॅटचं डिपॉझिशन ब्रेकडाऊन करण्यासाठी प्रॉपर मेटाबॉलिझम करण्यासाठी ग्लुकोकॉर्टिकॉइड्स हेल्प करतात. That is the role of glucocorticoid or pharmacological action of glucocorticoid on the fat metabolism is to break down the fat, and that's why if there is deposited fat is to be break down from the face, then a face, neck and shoulder, then these symptoms like moon face, buffalo hemp or fish mouth or obesity is not occur. What is mean by obesity?
Increase weight.
Excessive body weight, right?
Yes, ma'am.
हे समजते का? फिश माउथ, मून फेस, buffalo hemp. These are the symptoms observed when fat deposition is get increased. Buffalo hump means shape like this buffalo hump. The type मध्ये shape होतो shoulders. When excessive fat, this chapter is again, I revise this point because this chapter is important one for the long answer question, and also all the pharmacological actions are important one. So in which if there is excessive fat is deposited over the face, neck or on the shoulder, then the person shows the specific characteristic. Moon face. Moon face means fat is get saturated on the face and the shape of the face is get, moon face means the shape आहे त्या shape मध्ये there is change, alteration is to be occur because of excessive fat. Fish mouth, as you know, fish mouth, that is narrow mouth, like characteristic is to be observed obesity, buffalo hip like shoulder structure is to be observed or occurs. So this is about fat deposition. So हे symptoms observe होतात आणि ह्या symptoms वर glucocorticoid act होतो and to break down this fat, fat deposition ज्यावेळेस breakdown होतं, at that time all these symptoms are does not occur. The next point, action on the calcium metabolism. What is mean by metabolism? Can anyone tell me definition of metabolism? फक्त मीच एक्सप्लेन करते, तुमचं इन्व्हॉल्वमेंट नाही. व्हॉट इज मीन बाय मेटाबॉलिझम?
Metabolism is a process of convert to complex form converted to simple form.
फक्त एक्सप्लेनेशन ऐकून काही फायदा नाही. त्याच्यामध्ये इन्व्हॉल्व व्हा. मेटाबॉलिझम काय असतं? फॅटच्या मेटाबॉलिझम साठी ग्लुकोकॉर्टिकोस्टेरॉइड्स हेल्पफुल आहेत. लाईक दॅट अगेन दे शोज देअर ऍक्शन ऑन द मेटाबॉलिझम ऑफ कॅल्शियम. सो दे डिक्रीजेस द इंटेस्टिनल ऍब्सॉर्प्शन ऑफ कॅल्शियम. इंटेस्टाइन मध्ये कॅल्शियमचं ऍब्सॉर्प्शन डिक्रीज करतात आणि increases the excretion through the calcium. It increases the excretion of calcium through the urine. म्हणजे ते एक्सक्रीशन इन्क्रीज करतात कॅल्शियमचं आणि इंटेस्टाइन मध्ये जे ऍब्सॉर्प्शन आहे कॅल्शियमचं ते डिक्रीज करतात. And because of this, osteoporosis is to be occur. So what is mean by osteoporosis? It is related disorder related to which organ?
Bone.
Bone.
Bone. So there is brittleness or fragile bone is to be occur because of deficiency of vitamin D. So this osteoporosis occur, that is there is bones become spongy or brittle or fragile. So for this glucocorticosteroid act on the calcium metabolism, and they metabolize the calcium and increases the excretion of calcium and decreases the absorption of the calcium. The next point, action on the carbohydrate and protein. So carbohydrate and protein metabolism on their action, glucocorticoids increases the neoglucogenesis. What is meant by neoglucogenesis? Neo means new and glucogenesis means formation of glucose. So there is formation of glucogenesis. So increase neoglucogenesis also increases the glycogen deposit into the liver. So glycogen liver मध्ये deposit होते, they increase करतात deposition. It decreases the peripheral utilization of glucose. Glucose जे utilization होते, after that it forms into the ATP and it acts as a source of energy. So this peripheral utilization is to be decreases. It increases insulin resistance. When carbohydrate and protein metabolism is maintained or regulated by glucocorticosteroid, they increases the resistance of the insulin. Then next point, action on which organ?
Kidney.
Action on kidney. It increases the secretory activity of kidney and decreases the excretion. Excretion decrease the glucocorticosteroid. So what is meant by excretion?
Removal of waste material. Is the product.
Another term for excretion.
Elimination.
Okay. So this glucocorticosteroid it decreases the excretion, that is elimination, and increases the secretory activity of kidney. Kidney ची secretory activity म्हणजे कोणतं secretion?
Aldosterone.
रेनिन आहे का?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Renin, creatinine, they are mainly secreted into the renal tubules. Okay. So action of these glucocorticoids on the kidney is that decrease excretion. जे किडनीचं मेन फंक्शन आहे एक्सक्रीशन ते डिक्रीज करतात आणि जे सिक्रेटरी ऍक्टिव्हिटी आहे किडनीची ती इन्क्रीज करतात. Then next one is action on which organ? Which system?
Cardiovascular system.
Cardiovascular.
CVS. So in which increases the myocardial activity. जी CVS ची ऍक्टिव्हिटी आहे myocardial activity, ती ऍक्टिव्हिटी ग्लुकोकॉर्टिकॉइड्स इन्क्रीज करतात. Then next one is action on the skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle वरती ऍक्शन काय आहे? As we seen into the action on carbohydrate and protein metabolism. काय करतात तिथे ते ब्रेकडाऊन करतात कार्बोहायड्रेट आणि फॅटचं अँड आफ्टर दॅट ते इन्क्रीज निओग्लुकोजेनेसिस ग्लायकोजन डिपॉझिशन त्या सेम आहे. सो जर ब्रेकडाऊन झालं प्रोटीनचं, इफ देर इज ब्रेकडाऊन ऑफ प्रोटीन इज टू बी ऑकर, then there may be weakness of skeletal muscle is to be occur. So this action of skeletal muscle is depend on the action of carbohydrate and fat protein metabolism. Whenever there is breakdown of protein, then it leads to weakness of skeletal muscle. So this action of glucocorticosteroid produced on the skeletal muscle, weakness of skeletal muscle. The next action is action on
Blood
blood
vessel.
cells.
Blood vessel.
Blood cells वरती action आहे in which increase the RBC and platelet count and decrease the WBC count. Blood cells वरती काय करतात ते? They increases the RBC and platelets count and decreases the WBC count. Then next action,
मॅम स्क्रीन शेअर होत नाही.
wait for a minute. Now what is action on blood cells?
Increase RBC,
Increase
increase
RBC and
RBC and
platelets.
platelet count, decrease WBC count.
What is action on kidney?
Excretion level
Decrease excretion and increase secretory activity.
Increase करते.
Action on CVS?
Myocardial activity increase करते.
Okay, then action on the blood vessel in which increases the RBC and platelet count and decreases the WBC count. The next one is action on GIT, that is gastrointestinal tract or GI system, in which glucocorticoids they increases the secretion of acid. Acidचं secretion they increase करतात. मग acidचं secretion जर increase झाल्यानंतर काय होईल?
Gas.
Ulcer causes.
In general
Ulcer.
question,
Ulcer causes.
acidity.
directly ulcer होईल का?
Acidity causes.
secretion
Acidity. Ulcer.
Okay, whenever there is increase in the secretion of acid and also increase the secretion of pepsin, then it leads to increase the acidity, that is hyperacidity. Acidity, hyperacidity, and then it produces peptic ulcer or any ulcerative condition. So it shows hyperacidity action. Then next one is action on immunity. Immunity means it suppresses all the type of allergic reaction. जे allergic reactions आहेत त्यांना suppress करतात due to T lymphocyte. T lymphocyte, it is one of the type of WBC and they are also known as T cells. And these cells are originated into the bone marrow. त्या bone marrow मध्ये originate होतात and mature into the thymus. Thymus मध्ये त्या mature होतात and then they show their action. The next and the last pharmacological action of glucocorticoid is action on inflammatory response. So it suppresses all the type of inflammatory response. Inflammatory response कोणते आहेत? Inflammation ची definition. Suppress करतात म्हणजे increase करतात की decrease करतात? It suppresses all the type of inflammatory response, means
Decrease करतात.
Decrease.
putting down, decreases. Okay, so inflammatory response ला suppress करतात म्हणजे जे inflammation मध्ये आपण बघितलेलं. Inflammation means redness, temperature, pain. NSAID, do you remember?
Yes, ma'am.
So all these inflammatory responses histamine मध्ये झालेले आहेत. It produces inflammation. Histamine inflammation produce करते की नाही? Is it produces pain or not? Itching sensation.
Yes, ma'am.
It produces itching sensation, pain, and inflammation. That's why we treat this by using antihistaminic agent. Okay, so these glucocorticoids, they inhibit, suppress all the type of inflammatory response such as rubber, calor, Dallor, and tumor. Where rubber means redness of the skin, calor means increased temperature decrease करतात, Dallor means जी pain increase झालेली आहे ती at such normal means relieve करतात pain, and tumor means swelling झालेला आहे, that swelling is get reduced. Suppress करतात means inhibit करतात. And immunity मध्ये काय आहे, it suppress all the type of allergic reactions, means it putting down all the type of allergies. So this is about pharmacological actions of glucocorticoids. Any doubt? Up to this clear all this point about glucocorticoids?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
The next point is mechanism of action, how they act, how they enters into the body. So this glucocorticoids agent or these drugs or these hormonal preparations or the medicines, they penetrate the cell. Firstly they काय करतात, cell ला penetrate करतात. If you are written in your notebook, then write down it by pathway. जे blackboard वरती pathway explain करून सांगत होते, like that write down करा mechanism of action. Write down करते का कोण?
Yes, ma'am.
It is easy to you for understanding. So corticosteroids, firstly they penetrate the cell. Cell ला ते penetrate करतात by binding with the cytoplasmic membrane. ज्या membrane ला cell membrane, plasma membrane आहे, त्या membrane ला corticosteroid bind होतात, and after that they penetrate to the cell, and the next step is they enter inside the cell. मग cell च्या inside ला ते जो सेलचा मेम्ब्रेन आहे किंवा सेल आहेत त्यांना पेनिट्रेट करून ते सेलच्या इनसाइड मध्ये जातात. दे एंटर इनसाइड द सेल. मग सेल मध्ये एंटर केल्यानंतर न्यूक्लियस असतो का सेल मध्ये?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Obviously, so this chart is shown that after it enters and inside the cell, then what happens? It is shown in this chart. So when they enters into the inside the cell, they migrate into the nucleus. तर ते nucleus कडे migrate होतात. Means move towards the nucleus. Migrate होणे म्हणजे move होणे. Then after that, next step is that they bind with the corticosteroid receptor or nuclear receptor. मध्ये त्याच्या particular इथे जे दिलेलं आहे steroid receptor. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Particular the steroid receptor ला किंवा glucocorticosteroid काय आहेत ते? Steroidal आहेत की non steroidal आहेत?
Steroid rate.
Steroidal आहेत. When they enters into the cell, then they bind to the corticosteroid receptor or nuclear receptor or this steroid receptor. मग ते steroid receptor ला bind होतात. After that, it produces DNA transcription. DNA transcription, translation या प्रोसेस झाल्या असतील तुम्हाला 12th मध्ये biology मध्ये. So they produces DNA transcription. So DNA transcription produce करतात म्हणजे काय करतात? They DNA transcription, it is process of copying of the segment of DNA into RNA. जे DNA चा आहे as such copy कोणामध्ये करायचे? RNA. What is mean by DNA? Full form of DNA, RNA काय आहे?
Deoxyribonucleic acid.
Ribonucleic acid.
Deoxyribonucleic acid.
And RNA means
Ribonucleic acid.
okay, so काय glucocorticosteroids काय करतात? They produces DNA transcription. Transcription दिसते इथे?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
If it is not clearly visible, then zoom your screen. Then it is clearly visible. So it produces DNA transcription. Transcription करतात म्हणजे काय करतात? It is DNA transcription. It is a process in which copying all the segments of DNA. DNA चे सगळे segment copy केले जातात into RNA मध्ये. That is DNA transcription. The next step there is change the mRNA transcription. मग हे जे DNA transcription झाले त्याच्यामुळे काय होतं, there is alteration in mRNA transcription. mRNA transcription means it is a process of making RNA copy of gene sequence. जीन्सच्या ज्या सिक्वेन्स आहेत त्याच्या RNA कॉपी ऑफ जीन सिक्वेन्स त्या मेकिंग करण्यामध्ये RNA ट्रान्सक्रिप्शन हेल्प्स करतं. जीन्स माहितीये, जीन, जीन थेरपी, फिनोटाइप, जीनोटाइप, ट्रान्सलेशन, ट्रान्सक्रिप्शन, ते मॉड्यूल PCR module. I think all these point you know, right?
Yes,
Gene
ma'am.
expression.
Yes, ma'am.
Gene, it is basic unit of heredity and also it is sequence of nucleotides in the DNA. So this change in the next step is that change in the mRNA transcription, and after that ज्यावेळेस mRNA transcription मध्ये change होते, that is making the RNA copy for gene sequence. जीनच्या sequence साठी copy RNA च्या copies making करण्यासाठी मेकिंग होतात mRNA ट्रान्सक्रिप्शन मध्ये. आफ्टर दॅट प्रोसेस काय होतं, इट रेग्युलेट द प्रोटीन सिंथेसिस. सो प्रोटीन सिंथेसिस रेग्युलेट होतं, दॅट इज फॉर्मेशन और क्रिएटिंग ऑफ एन प्रोटीन मॉलिक्यूल इज टू बी स्टार्टेड. So this is mechanism of action of glucocorticosteroids. So at the end we can say that here हा pathway बघा, transcription, after that 3 mRNA, that is mRNA transcription is to be occur, and then म्हणजे pre-mRNA means editing, that is making NA copies of gene for the RNA, and after that it helps further regulate the protein synthesis, that is formation of protein is to be occur, and response means this glucocorticoid this shows the protein synthesis action. Did you get the mechanism of action? How it produces protein synthesis from the penetration to the cell. समजले?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then next point is pharmacokinetic. So about pharmacokinetic, all the natural and synthetic corticosteroids, naturally those are already present in our body, and also synthetically prepared corticosteroid, they are better absorbed orally. They orally काय होतात, better absorb आहेत. Then 90% bound to the plasma protein. 90% मध्ये plasma protein ला bound होतात. This is about distribution. Then next point, metabolized by the liver. Liver मध्ये metabolize होतात and excreted through the urine. And metabolized by liver by phase second glucuronide conjugation reaction. And T half life. किती आहे T half life?
90 to 110 minutes.
9 to 110 minute. 110 minute. So this is T half life. Corticosteroid bound to the corticosteroid binding globule. The distribution मध्ये binding, free to binding, protein binding, that point is given here. So this binding of the corticosteroid binding globule, this is known as CBG. So this CBG increased by estrogen and decreased in case of liver cirrhosis and nephrosis of the kidney. म्हणजे जे corticosteroids आहेत ते bind generally corticosteroid binding globule ला होतात, आणि they binding increase कधी होतं, when there is estrogen hormone or corticosteroid, and it is decreased in case of liver cirrhosis and nephrosis. So these are the hepatic and kidney disorder or renal disorder. Then next point is adverse effect. So adverse effect you have to write from which point?
Pharmacological action.
If your pharmacological action, this point is clear, then easy to write the adverse effect. So you have to write same adverse effect from all the pharmacological actions. So first, action on the fat metabolism. It shows characteristic appearance like rounded or moon face, buffalo hem-like shoulders, and fish mouth. Fish mouth means narrow mouth. And obesity, that is excessive body fat, which increases the health problem. If obesity is occur, then it is helpful for the health or not helpful? It is risky or not risky?
Risky.
Risky. If there is excessive body fat, that is obesity is occur, then it is risky. The next side effect is muscular weakness. That is weakness to the muscle. Hyperacidity and peptic ulcer. This adverse effect from
Action on GIT.
sound is audible to all.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So hyperacidity and peptic ulcer, they are from the action on the GIT tract, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Then bone fracture. The next one, osteoporosis. What is mean by osteoporosis?
Brittle and
Spongy
spongy
bone,
bone.
brittleness
Brittleness
of
of
bone.
bones.
Or spongy.
Then cataract. Cataract means it related to disorder related to which? It is effect related to which organ? Cataract कोणत्या organशी related आहे? Eyes. Glaucoma and cataract, these effects are observed adverse effect. So cataract, it is a medical condition in which lens of the eye becomes opaque and which resulting in a blurred vision. So you can write blurred vision or cataract. The next point is also it produces infection susceptibility. Adverse effect of this glucocorticoid is there is susceptibility for infection. The next point is contraindication. So in which clinical condition they are contraindicated? पेप्टिक अल्सर, जर एखाद्या इंडिव्हिज्युअलला पेप्टिक अल्सर आहे आणि त्याला कॉर्टिकोस्टेरॉइड एजंट दिले, इज इट ओके? चालेल का?
No, no, ma'am.
No. No, ma'am.
Peptic ulcer means what? Lesions formation is occur. Lesions formation is occur on the mucous lining of GIT. LESIONS माहिती आहे? Lesions formation. And which may be painful. Then next, diabetes mellitus. Hypertension, diabetes mellitus, as you all know from the first chapter of this unit, there is it occurred due to the hyperglycemia, increased blood sugar level, then viral infections, fungal infection, tuberculosis, and other infection. What is mean by TB? It is which type of the disease? Next chapter is on this point, or is on this disorder. TB, leprosy, this chapter it. What is about TB?
Bacterial infectious disease.
It is a bacterial disease. It mainly affect on which organ?
Lungs.
Lung.
Lungs ला affect करतात. So in such a condition, they are contraindicated. Then again, osteoporosis, herpes simplex keratitis. काय disorder माहिती आहे?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
हेल्थ एज्युकेशन मध्ये सगळे ह्याच डिसऑर्डर होत्या. corneal infection due to the herpes simplex virus. So in such a disorder, also these corticosteroids are contraindicated. Cornea, it is part of
I.
eye. Okay, so there is corneal infection occurred due to the herpes simplex virus, is known as herpes simplex keratitis. Then next, psychosis. What is psychosis? Mental disorder आहे, antipsychotic agent. Psychosis, firstly psychosis discuss केलेले and after that antipsychotic agent start केलेले. So psychosis, it is an फास्ट एकदम क्विक मध्ये आन्सर यायला पाहिजे जे झाले त्याचे.
Mental disorder.
It is mental disorder which is characterized by discontinuation from the reality. जी reality आहे त्याच्यापेक्षा other things असतात, that is psychosis disorder. Then next also it is contraindicated in epilepsy. Epilepsy जास्त वेळा झाले माहिती असेल. Then CHF and in kidney failure, that is renal failure. So all these conditions, corticosteroids are contraindicated. The next point is uses. So uses, before the uses, some preparations of corticosteroid. So cortisone acetate IP tablet असतात, cortisone injections IP, and also prednisolone tablet IP. ह्या corticosteroidच्या different tablets किंवा injections available आहेत. They are used to treat these uses, म्हणजे त्याचे ज्या uses मध्ये disorder आहेत त्या treat करण्यासाठी use केल्या जातात. So in the uses, it is used in replacement therapy of adrenaline efficiency. जर का adrenaline ची deficiency असेल तर त्याच्यामध्ये corticosteroid दिले जातात. Adrenal cortex मध्ये adrenal gland चं main secretion कोणतं आहे? Adrenaline. Previous lecture मध्ये तरी झालंय adrenaline. It is secreted by adrenal gland. So it is used in replacement therapy of adrenaline deficiency. Adrenaline ची जर deficiency असेल तर त्याच्यामध्ये replacement therapy म्हणून corticosteroid preparation दिले जातात. The next point is it is used in rheumatoid arthritis disorder, gout disorder, osteoarthritis disorder, and also given in NSAID. NSAID बरोबर ही glucocorticosteroid or corticosteroids दिले जातात. Then next point is it reduces nausea and vomiting. Also it depresses immunoresponse. Then inflammation, the first point आहे, it is used in asthma, arthritis, rheumatism, gout, and osteoarthritis disorder. Then next point, it reduces terminal pain. The pain sensation आहे त्या relieve करण्यासाठी glucocorticosteroids therapeutically applicable आहे. Then it is also used in acute and chronic asthma. It is used to treat the severe allergic reaction. ज्या allergic reactions आहेत त्या treat करण्यासाठी use केला जातो. After that, it is used in intestinal inflammation. Intestinal inflammation means gastritis झाला असेल. If there is excessive secretion of acid, then gastritis occur. Also ulcerative colitis. To treat this ulcerative colitis disorder, glucocorticosteroids are used. Ulcerative colitis, it is a chronic inflammatory bowel disease, and that causes inflammation to the digestive tract. Then it is useful in pneumonia. What is pneumonia? Disorder related to which organ? Which
Lungs.
system?
Lungs.
Respiratory.
In pneumonia, it is an infection to the air sacs of the lung. The pneumonia condition मध्ये they are also therapeutically applicable. Also, it is useful into the dermatitis disorder. It is used into the ऑर्गन ट्रान्सप्लांटेशन. ऑर्गन ट्रान्सप्लांटेशन माहिती आहे?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it is a medical procedure in which organ is to be removed from the body and placed into the other part. So that is organ transplantation. But the organ transplantation करताना जे immunosuppressant आहेत, that medicine that lower the body ability to reject the transplantation organ. तर त्याच्याबरोबर त्या कंडिशन मध्ये किंवा त्या थेरपी मध्ये त्या मेडिकल प्रोसिजर मध्ये ग्लुकोकॉर्टिकोस्टेरॉइड्स यूज केले जातात. Also they are used in thrombocytopenia condition. What is mean by thrombocytopenia? This disorder we discuss in drugs acting on CVS. What is mean by thrombocytopenia? Penia means there is lack of or deficiency of which cells? RBC, right? Am I audible to all?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Thrombocytopenia means thrombocytes means
Low
platelets.
platelets in blood.
Deficiency
Platelets,
of platelets in the blood is known as. थोडासा स्ट्रेस देत नाही तुम्ही माइंडवर. प्लेटलेट, थ्रोम्बोसाइटोपेनिया, पेनिया इट इज एन डिफिशियन्सी, थ्रोम्बोसाइटोसिस सिस मीन्स फॉर्मेशन. थोडासा स्ट्रेस दिला ना तरी इझी होईल तुमच्यासाठी कन्सेप्ट क्लिअर व्हायला. एनिवेज देन नेक्स्ट इज हिमोलायटिक अॅनिमिया. हिमोलायटिक अॅनिमिया कंडिशन मध्ये ऑल्सो दिस ग्लुकोकॉर्टिकोस्टेरॉइड्स आर therapeutically applicable and it is used in glomerular nephritis. That is glomerular जो layer आहे, glomerular filtration is occur into the urinary system. We discuss in the diuretic glomerular filtration, DCT, PCT. त्या glomerular layer ला जे inflammation होतं, that is glomerular nephritis. त्या condition मध्ये also this is corticosteroid, glucocorticosteroids are therapeutically applicable. So here we complete the glucocorticosteroid. Then next classification. कोणता next class? Second class.
Mineral corticosteroid.
Mineral corticosteroids.
Corticosteroid classify into two types. First one is glucocorticoids and second one is
Mineral
Mineral
Corticosteroid.
mineralocorticoid. So mineralocorticoid. Mineralocorticoid name indicate itself mineral balance. जो आहे electrolyte balance. The balance is related to this. So this corticosteroid, mineralocorticoids, it is one of the type of corticosteroid which regulate the water and electrolyte balance in our body is known as mineralocorticoids. समजले definition?
Yes, ma'am.
These are the
Yes, ma'am.
corticosteroids which regulate the mineral balance, that is electrolyte and water balance is known as mineral corticosteroids. And the cheap mineral corticosteroids are aldosterone and deoxycorticosterone. The cheap mineral corticosteroids available आहेत. They are aldosterone and deoxycorticosterone. So next point is that their function or their action. हे काय करतात, पोटॅशियम आणि हायड्रोजन जे आहे त्याचं एक्सक्रीशन इन्क्रीज करतात and increases the absorption of sodium from DT. DT means
Distal.
DT means distal tubules. So this is about pharmacokinetic. Absorption enhance करतात mineral corticoid sodiumचं and increases excretion of potassium and hydrogen and similar action on the colon, sweat glands and salivary gland. Then about the pharmacological action of this mineralocorticoids is that aldosterone and other steroids, they causes reabsorption of sodium from the urine by distal tubules. म्हणजे ज्या DCT आहे, distal renal tubules. त्याच्यामध्ये जे रिॲब्सॉर्प्शन आहे सोडियमचं त्याच्यासाठी मिनरलोकॉर्टिकॉइड्स हे हेल्पफुल आहेत. मिनरल्स मीन्स सोडियम, पोटॅशियम, वॉटर, हायड्रोजन, इलेक्ट्रोलाइट बॅलन्सचे रिलेटेड आहे. And it also increases sodium reabsorption in sweat, salivary gland, and colon and GIT mucosa. So in this slide, completed the pharmacological action and pharmacokinetic. Pharmacological action is on this point. It also increases sodium reabsorption in sweat, salivary gland, sweat glands, salivary glands, and GIT mucosa. And about their pharmacokinetic, it increases the excretion of which ions, which minerals?
Potassium and
Potassium and
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen.
And it enhances, that is, it increases absorption of sodium from the distal tubule. This is about pharmacokinetic. In short, about pharmacokinetic and their action of mineralocorticoids. Their main action is aldosterone or other steroids in the mineralocorticoid. They causes reabsorption of sodium from the urine. सोडियमचं जे रिअब्सॉर्प्शन आहे ते युरिन पासून काय करतात ते रिअब्सॉर्प्शन कॉज करतात बाय DCT. Then next is application. It is used in treatment of Addison's disease. What is meant by Addison's disease? What is meant by Addison's disease? Because Addison disease, it is a disorder of adrenaline gland. Adrenal gland ची disorder आहे, that is, there is this gland do not produce hormone, enough amount of the hormone. Then this Addison disease is to be occur. Addison disease means it is a disorder of which gland? Adrenal gland.
Adrenal gland.
Adrenal gland ची disorder आहे. It occur when there is this gland do not produces enough amount of hormone. Enough amount मध्ये hormone produce करत नाही. त्यावेळेस this Addison disease is to be occur. Then next one is side effect: weight loss, hypokalemia, and hypertension. Sorry, weight gain, hypokalemia, hypertension. So what is mean by hypokalemia?
Increase potassium level. Increase potassium level.
So therapeutic application and side effect of mineralocorticosteroid. It is mainly applicable in which disease? Addison's disease. Then their last point in this chapter is preparation. There are some preparations are available. Deoxycorticosterone trimethyl acetate injection. They are IP and they are taken by intramuscular route, and deoxycorticosterone acetate injection IP. Their dose 5 mg per day IM. Deoxycorticosterone acetate injection and deoxycorticosterone trimethyl acetate injection. So these are the preparation of mineralocorticosteroid. Here we complete corticosteroid chapter. In this chapter we discuss definition of corticosteroid, then their classification, glucocorticosteroid, mineralocorticosteroid, and in detail pharmacology of glucocorticosteroid, their pharmacological action, mechanism of action, then side effect, contraindications, therapeutic applications, preparations. After that we discuss mineral corticosteroid. It is second class, in which in short about their pharmacological action, mechanism of action, and side effect and therapeutic application, and last point is the preparation. So here we complete corticosteroid as well as we complete unit hormone and hormone antagonist. In this unit we discuss from the first chapter insulin hormone. After that their antagonistic agent, oral hypoglycemic agent, thyroid hormone, then antithyroid agent. After that we discuss female sex hormone, male sex hormone, in which we discuss the topic oral contraceptive. In the oral contraceptive we discuss about female contraceptive, in which orally administered combined tablets, sequential tablets, pills or mini pills. And after that we discuss this corticosteroids. Any doubt related to this unit, all of you?
No,
Do
ma'am.
you have any doubt related to this
No,
unit?
ma'am.